we are discussing Dan Bongino's statement that went out just over the weekend on X, a pretty alarming statement. What I have learned in the course of our properly predicated and necessary investigations into these aforementioned matters has shocked me down to my core, ... I'll never be the same after learning what I've learned. And this is coming from Dan Bongino, a guy who has talked the talk for a very long time.
It's not as if Dan Bongino hadn't been concerned about corruption within the government for years.
He's known about it.
He's known about it. So when he gets in there and starts doing an investigation of these things, and we should note, I actually love that he's saying these things you're not going to see right away because they're doing it the right way. They're doing it by the book so that if there is accountability that can be had, that is within statute of limitations, things like that, they can actually get it done instead of ruining the investigation by just telling everything that's going on. But the fact that what you brought up, he has been talking about and pushing this type of stuff for a long time. If it's shocking him, I mean, no wonder that they wanted to keep these things silent.
Now, once again, I start saying it like the treason comments from Tulsi Gabbard last week. You kind of have to pay these off now. You can't just say shocking, shook me to my core, rattled my cage, brought me down to my knees, all of these things, and then not pay it off in the long run. Because if not, then it does feel like you are just distracting from maybe the negativity coming out of your camp.
Dan Bongino is a true patriot. He has been preaching this on TV, on his podcast, and if he is shocked to the core with what he has found, the corruption must be awful.
Yeah, I mean,
and we as other patriots need to recognize that and give them the time to do the right investigation and get these people out of our government.
When you hear those words coming from this guy who has spent the last 4 years, 5 years, whether it was on his Fox News show, his social media show on Rumble, being a pretty straightforward, like you said, patriotic guy who also is not afraid to run from controversy or to run from conspiracy even. When he starts throwing out these comments, like I said, he better be able to back him up because his commentary of his historical brand, if you will, says he needs to be able to do that.
I look at this two different ways, right? The jaded me, the one that has seen a lot of people in government make promises and not deliver on big things that are going on, thinks nothing's going to come out of this. But the analyst in me, the one that has watched a lot of this, that knows about Dan Bongino, and this statement coming from him makes me think we will get something out of this. And when you take the whole context of the frustrations that were reported about his disagreements with the Attorney General, that he was upset that she went out and made big claims about releasing things and then didn't have anything to actually release or go through. So if that's what upset him so much, that there were reports out there, widely reported, that he was considering stepping down because she made statements out
that he
publicly
had left at one point.
And then didn't really deliver on that. You have to think, one, he wouldn't be in the business right now of making some hyperbolic statement and then having nothing to deliver. You also have to think that he's confident enough that what they are doing will be released because he says we are going to get the answers we all deserve. So I believe Dan Bongino here. I want to see the truth come out. I also, as we've said, I want them to do it the right way. I don't want some manufactured intel report like the Obama administration did to try to destroy President Trump. I don't think that Dan Bongino would do something like that. I know he wouldn't. But I also want it to be done the right way so that if there is legal accountability that can be held, if there is just other ways that it can go about it, that more accountability can be had. I want the truth, but accountability also. So do it the right way. Don't put it out too early, and make sure you've gotten it all buttoned up so that it will stick and that the left will have no opportunity to try to poke holes in it.
He was a member of the Secret Service. He was a part of these. He's been inside the swamp, if you will, before. So this is something new that could have been happening during the Biden administration. Heck, it could be happening still during the Trump administration because we know those actors are still all around.
We know that the FBI and the course of action that they chose to take after getting the marching orders from James Comey wasn't on the up and up during the first Trump administration. So even things that could have been happening under President Trump doesn't mean it was President Trump allowing it to happen. That's the deep state. That's what we've been talking about for 8 years now, almost 10 years in some cases. So you have to look at it from one, the knowledge he has and the things he's already talked about. If he's making a statement that bold, he believes that this is earth-shattering, as well as the reports that he was upset with the Attorney General with the way that she rolled out stuff on the Jeffrey Epstein case and then didn't really have anything to give, was damaging to the reputation of the FBI and the Department of Justice. That upset him to the point there were reports he was considering resigning. So I don't think he'd be making just a hyperbolic statement just a few weeks after that entire blow up. But then also the good news is, we are going to conduct these righteous and proper investigations by the book and in accordance with the law. We are going to get the answers we all deserve. That is wonderful news. One of the things that sticks out to me as well, because obviously we don't know directly what this is related to, but there are a little bit of context clues that we can take from this, because he does mention that the director and I are committed to stamping out public corruption and the political weaponization of both law enforcement and intelligence operations. What we've been seeing from Director Gabbard that have been coming out over the last week, how there was this treasonous conspiracy, as she calls it, to try and hamstring the entire Trump administration with these Russia collusion hoaxes that they put forward after President Trump was elected. They changed, they fabricated, they manufactured intelligence to try and change the story. We learned from her that that was coming from the highest levels. We learned from the CIA that John Brennan was the one who was handling it from the top, which is outside of protocol. He was forcing the inclusion of intelligence that was not verified or not up to standards, or was contradicted by all the other intelligence that they did agree with and believe in. And the people within the CIA themselves were pushing back. And he even said about the dossier, which he had included and then lied to Congress about including, he said, yeah, I know there's problems, but doesn't it ring true? We're getting that picture from the intelligence side.
It just feels right.
It was a vibe. He had a dossier vibe. And so we're learning all that from the intelligence side.
With the dossier vibe.
But what we don't know is when we know there was an investigation going on, as it was reported at the FBI into James Comey and the things that they were taking from that. I have a feeling based off that weaponization of both law enforcement and intelligence operations is that the FBI is looking inside their own house, inside the DOJ, inside the FBI, and investigating how that fits into that same puzzle. And clearly, even though Dan Bongino has talked about Russiagate hoax for years and exposed a lot of what we already knew, the fact that he is now saying it has shocked me down to my core and I'll never be the same after learning what I learned, mean it is that much worse than even we know. Even the insurance policy, even Comey sending spies in the White House, even him leaking documents to get a special counsel to try and investigate the president of the United States. All that, according to this, is above board, and we not even close to being that shocking.
Knowing what Dan Bongino talks about and has talked about for years and years on the air, none of those kind of things, like you said, should be shocking. So what is it? What is it that shook him to his core, that has rattled him this much? They're going to need to provide it. We're going to need to find out in due time.